He cheated with the pastor's wife, part one. So, you guys know about the story with my first husband and how he gave me the HIV virus. So, now I'm going to tell you guys about my second marriage and how we met. I'm going to go through it now. Full disclaimer before we get started. Trigger warning. This is going to be talking about things that have to do with domestic violence. This is going to be talking about some real deep stuff. So if you get those types of triggers, just giving you a warning now. And I'll try to give warnings throughout as I'm going through it to kind of give you a heads up when I get to certain parts. So in this part, I'm just going to, give you the beginning. How did we meet? So, if you guys have been paying attention, so I, put my first husband in prison for knowingly infecting me with the HIV virus in 2008. So from 2008, I really wasn't doing a whole lot of dating at that time. After that, I was focused on my kids. They were born premature. And I did kind of date, and I actually ended up in a relationship in 2012. Okay. I was in that relationship for a year and a half, and that relationship ended. And if you guys have read my story, then you'll know that relationship ended. Very sad for me. Like, that was a relationship I didn't want to end, okay? But it was one of those moments. Like, you would literally have to read my story to kind of go deep into that, because he's honestly not a part of this. So here it is, 2013. And I'm sorry if I'm starting off slow. I'm kind of like, I know I've done a whole 20 parts and I do public speaking, but sometimes it gets a little nerve-wracking and you get nervous when you are talking about things. And this is actually something that people wanted me to write a book about this, but I said I didn't want to, because I didn't want to put myself back in that mental space for however long it was going to take me to write the book. So honestly, me doing it this way is going to be way lot easier for me to do it than to just write it in the book. It would take longer. So here's part one, continuing. So 2013, I'm getting a message from someone on Facebook, okay? Now, of course, by now, I've learned some lessons. I've been through some things. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. So I brushed this guy off. He just keeps messaging me. Hey, how you doing? Regular stuff. Nothing weird, nothing crazy. And then one day, sorry, I'm tired. I'm a mom. I get tired. One day he messages me and he says, basically, when are you going to let me change your life? Okay? Remember that, okay? When you gonna let me change your life? Okay? That's what he said. And so it's months gone by. I still had been brushing him off. And then I guess, in that moment I was like, you know what? Like, I was in this whole, like, I was going to church. I was very, very, very spiritual. I've always been very spiritual, but I was very religious. I was on that whole religious thing. So in my head, I'm like, okay, he done came in my life, after all of this storm that I just went through, and maybe this is a sign from God. Like, that is my whole thought process, y'all. I'm like, oh, it's a sign from God. This man is here. Boom. That is my thought process in this whole situation. So I give him the time of the day. We start conversing. He lives in Charlotte, and we start conversing and everything, and things, we just kind of hit it off. At the time, from what I learned from him and what I was learning from him through our conversations, he was working for a gospel artist I'm not going to put those names out there, but he was working for a gospel artist. And they were traveling around, doing tours. They were all over the place. And during one of those tours, they ended up coming to my city, to Jacksonville. And he was like, oh, we're going to be coming here. You know, we could finally meet, blah, 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 blah. Because, you know, we had been talking on the phone a lot, talking about things, you know, talking about what we want in our futures, different things, goals, all kind of stuff. And he came off as this, you know, this also very religious person. So I'm like, okay, I done met me a man of God, y'all. I done met me a man of God, okay? So, you know, I go to the concert, we meet, and everything was fine. And then we got to a point where he was like, you know, I really want to be with you, that whole spiel, and we're having this moment, you know, at this point, you know, yeah, I love him, he loves me. And he started mentioning marriage. Now, y'all know I had been married already once. And I'm like, man, listen, if I do this again, this going to have to be right. Like, that's my whole process, because with the situation I had just got out of in 2012, we were literally on that track. But again, here's me, being naive in a way. Also just thinking, honestly, seriously, like, y'all, listen, I'm seriously thinking, okay, this man is sent from God. This is a sign. This is my, you know, my whatever. You know, I'm thinking this is the one. This is the one, y'all. God sent this man. He just came out of nowhere right on time when I needed him. You know, he made me happy, blah, blah, blah. So we had the discussion. And we literally discussed him moving here. You know, it's me and my kids, so I was not going to be moving anywhere at the time. I just had 3 kids. Just the 3. Just my oldest and the twins. And he was going to move here. You know, I knew all about his background of different things. He did disclose to me, you know, he had an issue when he was 18 years old, where he was basically wrong place, wrong time with some friends who decided they want to rob somewhere. And he had that charge on him. And I understood that, but he always made it known, I don't have issues finding jobs and things like that. Like, he emphasized that wasn't an issue, and things like that. Whatever. So, he moved here. Me and my mom and the kids actually drove to Charlotte. Look, he ain't had no car, y'all. I know y'all finna say, girl, you was desperate again. No, I was not. I promise you. Listen. Oh, my God. I couldn't believe this. Oh, my gosh. Okay. Don't do it. Do not say it. Okay? Go ahead. I know you're going to put in the comments, so go ahead and say it anyway. Just go ahead. I'll take it. Okay? At the time, he did not have a vehicle. But he was going to be getting a vehicle. So it wasn't like he just went getting one. He was going to be getting a vehicle, okay? That was not an issue. And so we went there and got him, met his family and everything, met his mom. We met, like, we had, you know, everything was cool. And came back to Florida. Now, let me tell you something. For some reason, stuff happens. And then I see everything. I see the signs. I see the stuff after the fact. And let me tell you something. On the way back home, I got a clear sign. Okay? I got a clear sign. A clear sign. And I just ain't see it. I did not see it. Now when I look back on it, I'm like, man, listen. That was a freaking sign, okay? It was. It really was. But, yeah. I know y'all finna let me have it in part 2 in these comments. So, come on. Let's go on over here to part 2 right now. Because I know y'all want to know this sign. So, y'all can chew me out in these comments, okay?